Hello and welcome to the Love Talk. By the way, today we're going to talk about problems in adapting to relationships, to marriage, to long-term relationships, because it's not easy. When you take away your independence, you give up of your independence to stay in the same house with someone every single day. I tell you, sparks fly. Right, Elena?
Big time.
Sparks can fly. And today we're going to talk about this. We had some sparks ourselves in the beginning, right?
Quite a few, yes.
What would you say was, what would make the sparks fly?
Well, the fact that I had to tell you, ask you every time I wanted to buy something, I had to ask my husband, can I buy this? Can I buy that? Or what do you think of this? What do you think of that? I wasn't used to that. I was very independent. So that was one of the most difficult things I had to adapt to.
Yeah, and not, not asking for permission, but sharing.
Yeah,
sharing
yes.
Everything. And also, I think Elena suffered a little bit in the beginning because of my lack of patience. As I'm not the most patient man in the world, I did get better, but we're still fighting to get there. And by the way, today in the program, we're going to have a couple, Mikey and Leah. And one day, Mikey said to Leah, he stood at the top of the stairs and said, I can't do this anymore. You either change or something's got to give, but I can't do this anymore. And today they are still together. They're going to tell you their story. But many couples, they can't get past this time. That's where everything breaks down.
Yes, it's a time in your marriage where you need to, keep cool and believe that things are going to get better. It's where you are a bit tested, where you will know. For example, when I married James, there was a time where, gosh, this is James, James that I didn't know, because we used to date, but I wasn't there every day, with him in the house. We didn't wake up together. I didn't know how messy he was and all these things. So I got to know him a lot better afterwards. So that's the beauty of marriage, or you being in a relationship. It's a stage where you need to...
Yeah, and when you say to someone, you either change or we either change, or then, you can't, there's no second option. If change is needed, then let's go ahead and do that change. By the way, we've been asking people on Facebook, what is the problem with adapting, problems that they had. In fact, we had... I think one reply or a few replies there.
Yes.
And you want to read. Sandra wrote something there on the Facebook page.
Yes, she said like this. We asked her, was it hard to adapt when you got married? Let us know your experience. And she says like this. No, it wasn't that hard. We decided not to allow our differences to be a problem. And so it was much easier for us to adapt to each other. Congratulations. This is not usually very easy to do, but she also says after 12 years we still have to swallow a few frogs here and there, but the quicker we eat them, the better.
So it wasn't that easy, Sandra.
Yeah,
it wasn't that easy. I think some people, I'll be honest with you, it's not easy to adapt in the beginning, and I think anybody that says that it's easy, it's not that true, right?
It's tricky. It depends, James, it depends on the person. If I am this easygoing person who is very peaceful, I will just, then James.
But Sandra, if you said that you had to swallow a few frogs, and even today you do that, I tell you, then it's not that easy. And by the way, we want you to understand, Lena, it's very important that people understand this, that if you have trouble adapting, you are normal. You are normal. Everybody has trouble adapting. Yes. By the way, we're going to have a competition today. Our team, our producer, went to a restaurant called Spaghetti Tree in Sutton. We want you to watch this clip, and when you come back, we're going to present a competition to you. And the first person to get it right, whether on Twitter or Facebook, with the question we're going to ask after the video, will get a free dinner a la carte with a bottle of wine. So if you'd like a romantic dinner out, watch this video. When we come back, we're going to put a question to you, and you could be the winner of this dinner with a bottle of wine in a very nice Italian restaurant called Spaghetti Tree. We'll come right back.
here at Spaghetti Tree in Sutton, a traditional Italian-style restaurant, which is a perfect place for you to take your partner for a romantic meal. Let's go inside and see what's on the menu.
It's now or never. Come hold me tight. Kiss me, my darling. Be mine tonight. Tomorrow will be.
So, can you talk me through your dishes?
Okay, so these are just some of our starters that we have replicated from our hometown onto our menu. As I said before, my mum's from the seaside resort, so there's a lot of influence with fish. So we've got like the seafood salad here with mussels and calamari and fresh prawns. The other dishes that are quite famous in Sicily are all to do with aubergines. So we've got our melanzane ripieni that's done with the melted mozzarella cheese and tomato.
Okay.
Over here we've got another starter that's called insalata siciliana. So it's the...
Oh, I can't say that one.
Well, it's basically beef tomatoes with fresh mozzarella cheese, and we've got the baked dough balls. The dough is made on site. It's an old recipe from my grandmother, which then my mum ended up doing, and then she's shown the chef. So it is a typical recipe that comes from our hometown again. And then we've got famous bruschetta with the fresh tomato, garlic, onions.
It's not always about the money, but we try and keep it affordable, cheap, always fresh, and we like to look at it as it's comfort food. It's comfort food, and it's we cook with love, and that's what makes it nicer. Because you have to love doing it.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think that's what the success is behind every Italian woman, is that they love cooking food for their husbands, and they're proud of doing it, and it makes them very happy. And I think that's where all the magic is.
Yeah.
Are you going to pass your plate?
Thank you. Salute.
Salute.
Thank you. Amazing.
Welcome back. You just saw Monique savoring the wonderful food of the Spaghetti Tree restaurant. And if you want to win a dinner for two with a bottle of wine from the Spaghetti Tree restaurant, the question you need to answer is this: are Spaghetti Tree dishes inspired by Italian or Sicilian influence? Tell us your answers, post them on either Facebook or Twitter. The links are there on your screen now. And the first person to give us the correct answer to this question, which I'll read again, which is, are Spaghetti Tree dishes inspired by Italian or Sicilian influence? The first person to answer correctly will win then this dinner for two. So, Elena, going back to what we were saying, the difficulties of adapting. I know we had difficulties, as every couple has. We advise other couples, we speak to other couples. What do you find is, for women, from your point of view, the most difficult thing to deal with?
I think it's many complain about their partners not talking very much. They don't speak that much, so they struggle with this lack of communication. Well, this is how they see it: lack of communication. We all know that women like to talk and express themselves. So basically, that's the main one.
And what do you think the solution is for that?
Well, I think you need to understand the differences between you and your partner. People are different, and we need to, I think it's a matter of maturity. As you grow older, or you are in this relationship for a while, you learn about the person. For example, you don't like to talk very much, so I had to learn to live with that. Of course, we have a deal in our marriage, which is we meet halfway, okay, always. If he doesn't talk much and I talk too much, then I can tune it down a bit and he can, talk a little bit more. I think we should,
And of course, remember, you know, woman, I'm talking to the women now, you know, men, by rule of thumb, usually they don't talk as much as women. It's just how we are. So, you know, it's important that you adapt to that, but men also have to learn to communicate more. The fact that you don't talk as much doesn't mean that it should stay that way. Okay? We're gonna go into a break now. When we come back, we're gonna hear from Mikey and Leah, and the day that Mikey stood at the top of the stairs of their house and said to her, I can't do this anymore. So that was a breaking point. It either went for better or it would go for worse. Today they're here to tell the story. When we come back, we'll speak to them. Welcome back to the Love Talk. And as promised, I have here with me today a couple, and they've been together for a while. But there was one day that, well, I'll let Mikey tell the story. How are you, Mikey?
I'm fine, thank you.
So you have with you your partner, your wife, Leah?
Yes.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Mikey, tell us about the day, that one day you stood at the top of the stairs and you told Leah, I can't do this anymore. What was that about?
Well, I think it's over a matter of years or time we've been together, sort of the constant sort of arguments that we would have. I'm not an argumentative person, hated arguments in a relationship. And it just sort of dawned on one day that I could not sort of keep arguing anymore. And so I said to her, that was it.
That was your make it or break it moment?
For me, I think it was, because we couldn't sort of keep arguing the way we were. Because it was, I don't think, personally, I think it was healthy for the relationship to be arguing so much like that. Because she is quite a fiery person anyway, so.
So Leah, I mean, you were telling me about this before the program, but what was that about? What made you argue? Was it that he wasn't exactly the way you wanted him to be? What was it?
Yeah, I'm quite a bossy person naturally. It comes natural to me to be a leader. So I just found that I was probably trying to dominate Mikey quite a lot, which would lead to arguments, which, you know, a certain amount of arguing is quite natural in a relationship. But when I would be so argumentative, and I think also volatile, you know, I would go around slamming doors and, you know, and that's the part you didn't really like, isn't it? You didn't like that part.
Well, women are usually quite bossy anyway.
That's right.
Yeah.
You know.
And men like to think that they are the boss, but eventually,
right.
Yeah.
But you were saying something interesting, that you thought you could change him, right?
Yeah.
And that day that he said that, you actually realized something else.
Yeah, I realised that, you know, actually only because this is my way and it seems healthy and it's okay for me and I don't frown upon it, that actually, you know, for Mikey it wasn't okay and it wasn't something he was used to and he actually wasn't okay with it. You know, he really didn't like it.
Yeah. And I mean, the fact that you're together today still and you're going to be for until death does part, for sure. I mean, it's a success story, because when I asked you, Mikey, if that was your make it or break it moment, and you said it was, you actually made it. But there's many couples that it stops there, it breaks there.
Yeah, it's quite frightening that could have been, you know, the final point. But yeah, for some people, yeah, it is actually like that. They do sort of think that's it, or actually they walk away straight away without even turning back. But sort of after that point, I think we sat down and sort of adjusted, even me as well, adjusted both ourselves to get to where we are now. I mean, it's still a progress as we're working alongside.
Yeah, and understanding each other, you know, knowing the points when you know them arguments could actually go from just a bicker to an argument, you know, and one of you having to step back and think, actually, well, here now, we'll step back from here. You know, it's not big enough to argue about.
And how long after marriage did that happen?
That was
actually more.
I think it was before we got married. Before we actually.
Yeah, so that was kind of like.
Together?
We were together for 4 years before we got married.
Okay.
But I think that happened within about 2 or 3 years.
It was whilst we was engaged, probably on the path to marriage, and that's really, if we look back, that's probably where you had to question. You know,
quite typical, isn't it? First year. first year or so.
I mean,
of
usually we say
relationship.
that the first few years of a relationship, they're quite difficult, especially when you move in together, because you know, it's like almost two strangers in a house, right? You have all these bad habits, which Elena, I'm sure I'm sure she will say that I had bad habits as well. But
I was bad. I was very bad.
So it's difficult to get a balance. But you were saying, Leah, that that day that he said that, you actually realized that maybe you had to change rather than him.
Definitely, because I realised that it was actually my problem. You know, I'm the one who has got this volatile personality, and I had to deal with this, and I had to make changes. You know, some people would have, I'm sure, gone to anger management. That wasn't for me. I tried to self-reflect and, you know, learn to do this myself. But you know, there were still times I had to go up in the bathroom and just think, you know, I could really have a big row here, but I'm not going to.
And actually, Mike, you sitting there, you look like a calm guy.
I'm more calmer.
Yeah.
In most situations, I tend to be the, unless it's been something's happening to my family, then I take a different approach. But anything towards me, I tend to be sort of calmer, reflect and deal with things rather than sort of
you see
head first.
perfect balance.
Oh,
here.
definitely.
Yeah. And I was asking that because usually, Lena, when there's a problem, that's why women say we have to talk, right?
We have to talk in now.
Yeah, we have to talk now. And men, you know, it's fine. We can talk about it tomorrow, right?
You don't understand, when we talk, it's like we feel free, we feel lighter. We need to get it out.
Yeah, and we men, Mikey, you know, it's all right if it's yesterday. If it happened yesterday, you don't need to talk about it anymore.
No, we deal with it. That's exactly how men are. So we deal with it and just carry on.
Yeah, and I'm aware that you guys had also strain in your relationship because you have different cultural backgrounds.
Yeah.
Some couples, you know, they struggle with that because they're torn between their families and their new relationship. How was that for you guys?
That was, I think that was quite difficult, wasn't it?
I think in the beginning, because I'm from a Nigerian background, so in the beginning, there was the whole thing of, yes, they would rather you were with, you know, someone from a Nigerian background, but with the time we spent with each other, we sort of knew that we were going to be with each other anyway. So it was more of dealing with ourselves first and not worrying about, for me personally, not worrying about the background to come into it, because I think that could then lead to all sorts of issues. And I didn't want these sort of family issues to sort of be anything part of our own relationship. Let our relationship be strong enough first to deal with anything else. So for me, I think that's what it was for anyway, to sort of deal with our relationship first for the family.
But what it did do, I think, is it kept us away from your family, or me away from your family.
Yeah, in the early stages.
In the early stages, you know, where you'd probably go and meet your boyfriend's mum and, you know, go and have a chat. That relationship developed after we got married, actually, with my mother-in-law. A lot later than what many relationships...
That wasn't what she was used to. So it's hard to sort of bring someone straight into that environment. I think it had to be a time. And then for them to get used to the idea and understand that, it's who you're going to be with now, and then to realise, okay, you know what, yes, what you're doing is absolutely fine.
And how did you deal with that? I mean, a lot of couples, they either shut their family out completely and say, you know what, if you don't accept my partner, then, you know, so long, or did you try to build that bridge without letting it affect your relationship?
I don't think we really did.
I don't know, we didn't have any sort of, I didn't shut anybody out. I still sort of saw my family and carried on as per normal. Leah still went down there every now and again. So because of how my family lifestyle is, you couldn't expect to throw someone in there. So I just sort of dealt with my family as my family and dealt with Leah as Leah separately. And then every now and again, when needed to, bring the two together. And they could see over years that how she was. So it wasn't a case of trying to change her to suit them or to us. No, it was literally, it was...
You know, it's like you are entering a new family. They don't know you very well. They don't know your customs and all these things. So it's quite normal, but you see, they probably saw that you made him happy. So
yes, that's right. No, and
that's for my mum. Eventually, what she realised that you know, this relationship is it's you, it's me. You know, she knew who I was from beforehand. Cultural aside, she just looked at me as a person and then realizing, who you are with.
If it's good for you, it's good for them.
Yes, no, that's right. I mean, you know, and I mean, they did have sort of issue that I didn't speak Igbo or I didn't necessarily cook the food and, you know, or cook the native food and things like that. But now they do it, you know.
But did you learn how to cook?
I did. I mean, I did a couple. But whenever I felt I was being forced to do something, and you know, if I done it, I was going to be more accepted, I was more likely not to do it. So over the years, as I've matured, these things have come because I've wanted to do them.
Okay. So just for us to finish, we're running out of time. What would you advise, for example, a couple? Because the theme today is problems adapting. What would you advise someone who just got married or just got together with someone, just moved in with someone, and it's really difficult at the moment, the first few months? What would your advice be to them from a woman's perspective?
From a woman's, I would just say, you know, take your time and just communicate and, you know, understand they are from Mars.
We are different, aren't we?
You know, and it's always going to be like that.
All right. What about you, Mikey?
I think it's just taking that back step to sort of adjust with each other and seeing, you know, where your capabilities are and seeing how you can both what you can both bring to a relationship first and foremost. Taking life easier, I think, personally, is part and parcel of it. Then I'm rushing, oh, I want this, put this, do this, do that. I think it's just taking a back seat from both sides to actually see and examine what you can both bring to relationships, and that would then take you forward.
And it's very nice to know that, you know, at that point you realized that it was actually you that needed to change. I'm sure you realized that you needed to change in many things as well.
Me, never. No.
Never.
No, of course, I'm sure everyone has something to adjust to and deal with. But yeah, I mean, for me it was more, well, she knew it was more her than me, but then we eventually sorted ourselves out, basically.
It took us a while to get, you know.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, you know, Lena, I mean, what is your advice for someone who is at the beginning of this relationship, of this journey of being together with someone, either married or just moved in together, and the young woman or woman is finding it difficult to cope? What is your advice?
My advice is get to know the person more and don't try to impose your ways of thinking, your, how can I say, everything that you think is right. Give the person a chance. You know, this is the beauty of a relationship. You are with someone who is completely different from you, and this person will just add to your life. So that's my advice.
And I think from my point of view, I think there's two things that are very important for you to remember. First of all, problems are normal. If you're having a problem in a relationship that you just started, and we're talking about normal problems, infidelity is not a normal problem. That's a deal breaker. But if you just started a relationship and there's problems adapting, you just got married and it's difficult, that's normal. And if anybody tells you that I didn't have that at the beginning of my marriage, I'm sorry, but I believe they're lying. Everybody has. And the second thing is, understand that men and women are different. I'm not sure if they're from Mars, like Leah says, if men are from Mars, but I tell you, listen, you can make a list. Men don't talk as much as women do. And that's how it is. Men probably don't argue as much as women do. And that's also how it is. What is important is that whatever balance you need to find to make the relationship work, the quicker you can find that balance, the better it is for both of you, and the better the relationship will be.
And the faster you will adapt.
Exactly. So that's all for today. We're out of time. It's been a pleasure to be with you. We'll be back with you again next week at the same time. Have a wonderful night.